About a year ago, when I first got the job as the high school coach, um, you know, what I did was I brought in Coach Sindoni, who had a lot of experience and a lot of success running an offense, and he ran a spread offense, and he also had coached some Division I quarterbacks. So that's what I did. I brought Joe in, and we started to throw a lot because we had to learn a whole new offense, and so we were on a real fast, pace, and we crammed a lot of work and a lot of throwing into a short period of time, into just a few months. So Troy was just throwing, more than he had ever thrown in his life. He started having problems with his elbow, and so then we rested a little bit before training camp. Then he got into training camp, and again, the intensity and the frequency of throws was pretty high. The elbow was really bothering him. We had an MRI. Come to find out, now the what he had was, and it's kind of unusual for him because he was 16, but he was a late bloomer, right? So he's still growing now, and he had an open growth plate in the end of that bone. And so what was happening was the ligament that when you throw, that's kind of torques on the end of that bone was basically kind of just wiggling that bone. And what happened was the torque kind of worked it back and forth, and then the bone started to bleed and hemorrhage across the good part of the bone, the part that was closed, because it really wasn't a solid bone. They said, look, he's got to rest it for 3 months. So it was right at the beginning of the season. He was in a lot of pain, and the doctor said, it was going to require at least 3 months rest for that to settle down. But they said he could continue to play, but he was going to be in a tremendous amount of pain. And then they said there's a slight chance that the bone could break, but they said he's probably not going to be able to endure the pain. He's not going to be able to get to that point. Well, he went through the first game and played really, very well, and then in the second game, he went out and he threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for 2 more by the beginning of the third quarter. Actually came out from halftime, threw 2 long touchdowns in a row, and then the next series went through, and the bone actually broke. So he broke his own bone.
Okay, I would like to show you Troy Green, young quarterback, high school quarterback from New York, and I was asked if I'd be interested in working with him, mainly to see what his problem was with his elbow. He had elbow surgery, Tommy John surgery, and he's a quarterback, throwing a quarterback, but the problems with the quarterback are very similar to what happens with baseball pitchers. So he had elbow problems. After the surgery, everything was fine. He was rehabbed, he was ready to go, and he started throwing again, and son of a gun, if the injury or the pains didn't start coming back again. So there was something that they figured was wrong. He went to various football quarterback coaches. They were of no assistance. He was still experiencing the pain. So they also sent me some video and also a sequence picture. And after I took a look at what he was doing, I knew I could figure out what was going on and improve his throwing greatly. So it seemed like a very interesting project to undertake.
We had the surgery, and we had the screw put in, and he had 3.5 months with it. Then they backed it out, and he had 6 weeks without it, and then he started to throw again, and the elbow started to bother him again. And we looked at they x-rayed it and everything, and the bone was fine, but we knew, and that's when Coach Sindoni said, he said, we gotta, there's something more here that we're just not figuring out. They called me up, they're like, all right, well, they explained who Dr. Yessis was. And I also have a very good friend of mine who's a strength coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Now this guy's named Mike Wojcik. He had been at Syracuse University when I was there. He was with the Cowboys when they ran their championship seasons in the 90s. Then he was with the Patriots when they were their 3 champs. So he's the only guy in the NFL with 6 Super Bowl rings. He just went back to the Cowboys. And I happened to be down at Dallas on my book tour when all this was kind of happening. And I said to him, because I really hadn't heard, I saw you on the video on the internet, I'm a pretty good judge of character. And I said, as this guy definitely knows what he's talking about. He's the real deal, right? But but still, that's just me being thorough. So I went to Mike Wysick, and I said, hey, have you ever heard of this Dr. Yessis? He goes, yeah. He goes, he's the guy that, because Wysick is a very, very, very scientific in his approach to strength training, and really took a lot of what he developed from the translations that you did from the Soviet programs. I mean, that's his whole, everything is based on it. He goes, yeah, Dr. Yessis is the guy. He said, he's the real deal. I mean, he's the guy that, brought all this stuff over. He goes, you got an opportunity to work with him. He said, you got to do it, And the strange thing about it is, to be honest with you, because last year, we put so much work into it. Troy, Coach Sindoni, myself, Coach Moore, I mean, everybody. We put so much work into that season, and we had a quarterback who was, ready to just tear it up. And all of a sudden, to have that end like that was absolutely devastating. And I never would have thought, well, how do you find the silver lining in that? And honestly, I mean, I was saying to Joe the other day, Coach Sindoni, I said, you know what? I hate to say it, because this has been awful for all of us. But honestly, like, connecting with you and now having this opportunity to kind of recalibrate and relearn how to throw, because he can do it. I mean, he's got this. He can learn, and he's disciplined. He's obsessed with it, and that's what it takes. And so I think it's a great opportunity, because this could take him to a level that I think he never reached before. So we're excited. Yeah, we really are.